The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it's for the PCW Tag Team Championship! Coming down the aisle, your PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2000 holds, Natal and Steve!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by your podcast tag team champions of the world, the men of 2000 holds, Natal and Steve. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing pretty good today. Wrestling wasn't too bad yesterday, so I'm not too bad.
Yeah, wrestling was pretty good. Raw was, it was Raw. It was Monday Night Raw.
It was Raw run by Shane again.
But before we get into that, if you want to contribute to this podcast or the So Says Natal podcast, or fight your rival, email me at sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/sosaysnatal. Also the instagram.com/sosaysnatal. And my favorite, the best, the one I use the most, the Twitter at sosaysnatal1. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe across all platforms and help that algorithm out. All right, with all those plugs out of the way, let's get back into Monday Night Raw and Shane McMahon. Yeah, so Shane McMahon ran Raw for a third time. They didn't even, I don't even think they had an excuse this time.
No, he beat Undertaker at WrestleMania, didn't he?
No, he did not. It seems like he did.
But Shane McMahon's running Raw, so he beat Undertaker.
Well, the first time, like we said, week one, Shane got it because Vince didn't want to be upstage.
Yeah, and that made perfect sense for me.
And then the second week, they said because the internet said so much, there was so much buzz on social media that they let him do it a second time. Okay, the third time, they're just like, he's running it again. Let's see what happens. And it kind of lost its magic, and it's very upsetting.
It really just feels like another episode of Raw.
Yeah, it feels like Hunter and Steph need to go on vacation, and they didn't want Taker to lose at Mania because it was only going to be for a little while. So they were like, we'll just find something out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. It kind of throws Raw in a weird, like, setting.
Yeah, it's just stipulations don't matter. You know, I mean, the guy lost the match and he's still running Raw. So it makes suspending your disbelief or giving them leeway on certain things tougher when things like this happen.
But what's interesting about it with Shane, quote-unquote, running Monday Night Raw, it seems like they're going down the story of a new era, a new generation of wrestlers because, you know, we have our John Cena who's still injured and our Randy Orton that's gone and Seth Rollins is still gone, but he'll be back soon. But, like, we got Cesaro back already and we have AJ Styles and Sami Zayn and the Vaudevillains and Enzo and Cass. Like, it's a lot of new wrestlers, Baron Corbin, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, tons and tons of wrestlers. And it's kind of I kind of enjoy it because it's not the same stale 6-7 wrestlers I've seen over and over.
Yeah, that's always a beauty whenever new guys come in.
And the one thing I really like about it the most is I'm a big Chris Jericho fan, and he's been stories, like multiple. Like he's feuding with everyone. Now he has this whole Ambrose Asylum thing going on, which is fantastic.
Yeah, they're basically feuding over shows.
Yeah, they're basically feuding over, Showtime, and Chris Jericho had a bone to pick with Shane because of it. So just overall, the way they're writing it, or the way, quote-unquote, Shane is running Raw, it is interesting, and I do like it because it's a lot of the wrestlers that I enjoy right now, and I'm getting a lot of airtime of them. Yeah. Kevin Owens on the mic, I could go on for hours.
Yeah, and cool matchups are coming up out of it, too.
And speaking of some of the cool matches that came out of it is this tag team competition that we had. So at Payback, we will find out who is going to be the number one contender, because that will be at the finals of this tag team tournament. So tonight on Raw, we had the Usos versus the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, the match was alright. It wasn't anything too crazy. The crowd wasn't, particularly loud, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, they did not care about the Vaudevillains at all. They came out to crickets. But I do have to say, I'm happy that the Vaudevillains are coming out to their original theme, the real angry one.
Yeah, not that menacing.
Yeah, the menacing one, not the uppity, circusy one, which I didn't like. Now they're coming out as heels, and they got booed really well on SmackDown, but they're supposed to because they're heels, so I like it so far. I think the gimmick's going over somewhat. Overseas, apparently, not so much, but at least here in the States where we're booing the crap out of them. But, if you're booing them, too bad. They won. They beat the Usos.
Yeah, they're in the finals.
Yeah, they're in the finals, so they're going to Payback to face the other tag team.
Yeah, and these guys just showed up.
Brand new on Raw. I mean, they're former NXT Tag Team Champions. We actually saw them win the NXT Tag Team Champions last year at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was amazing.
But the Ascension shows that it doesn't matter if you're a former tag team champ on the main roster.
It really doesn't matter. I still really don't get to see them in all their new gear and face paint. But anyway, The next team is not the Ascension, unfortunately. It's the Dudley Boys going up against Enzo and Cass, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that Enzo and Cass has literally been sticking it to the Dudley Boys since the first day they came on Monday Night Raw. Since they showed up on Raw, they've been sticking it to them. So it was nice to get this match and see how it would play out. And it played out well because Enzo and Cass ended up winning.
Yeah, and it was fun. The beginning was fun as always. You know, Enzo and Cass doing the thing, and the crowd got them because they were super loud for them, which was awesome. Yeah, the match was fun, and I was actually kind of like surprised to see Enzo and Cass make it to the finals. I'm hoping something happens where the Dudleys kind of like cost them in the finals, just because I'd like to see more of Enzo and Cass against the Dudleys. I feel like really nothing happened right now. There was a couple of, like, words thrown, then we had this match for the finals, and then that was it.
I think Bubba will be able to sell it well and say he was biding his time, waiting for the right time. Like, you may hurt us with words, but we hurt you with, like, actual force. We didn't allow you to become the number one contender for the title.
We took something from you.
Yeah, we took something from you. Your words mean nothing. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, so at Payback, we're going to get the Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass for number one contendership.
Yeah, we're going to get some NXT
wrestling. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
I know. I'm excited to see what this match is going to be like.
The match I'm not excited to see, but I am kind of excited to see at the same time is, you laugh because you already know who I'm going to talk about, is Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. So they're going to have a match at Payback. And we had a Roman Reigns AJ Styles segment finally. And guess what? Roman Reigns is not the guy. I mean, I'm sorry, he isn't the guy. Roman Reigns said he's not a good guy or a bad guy. He's just the guy.
The guy, and the crowd booed him. They did not like that.
They did not find a chance to edit that out because he got booed hard. Like, it's obvious he needs to turn heel, or he has to do something because he's going to hold the title for a while. There's no way he's going to give it up now. He's already a 3-time WWE champion.
Yep, seriously.
Disgusting. He can't lose it again to regain it and become 4-time in like less than a year.
No, it would really
he has to
diminish.
He has to hold it to at least SummerSlam or longer.
I mean,
you're
excited to see him.
I want to see him drop it.
The title.
No, I want to see him drop it. I want to see him drop it to Rollins at SummerSlam.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That's what I want to see. Lose my mind and scream and yell. But back to what's happening right now. Get well, Seth. Get well soon. So during the promo, AJ Styles pretty much came out and told Roman Reigns, put Roman Reigns over, said he was going to have the hell of a match. You know, he's going to have to work the hardest he's ever worked. But Roman Reigns got to remember, he's won titles everywhere he's been.
Yeah,
you know?
Like he was saying, he knows he's going to have the match of his life against Roman Reigns, but that's what he's made a career out of. He's had the match of his life multiple times. I thought it was actually a cool segment because like AJ's not the greatest talker, but the point got across pretty well. Roman played his part, but you know, again, Roman's just kind of boring in there.
He's a caveman.
Yeah, I mean, even the crowd was chanting boring during his parts. They were on him a little. Nah, you know what? They weren't on him a little too much. He was boring. But at least they were actually talking to each other. It's 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, and finally the champ and challenger are talking to each other. Even earlier in the show, there was like a backstage segment with AJ, and I thought to myself, like, oh, really? Like, is this all we're gonna get this week also? So I was really happy when he came out during Roman Reigns' promo.
It's good because now I'm a little more interested. I'm only interested because it's AJ. I mean, I doubt he's gonna win, but still. Hopefully they can pull out a good match. I want to see a good match between these two. I'm interested to see how AJ is going to have to mix up his style in order to work with Roman.
Yeah, and then now you factor in the way they would work Gallows and
Carl Anderson.
Yeah, into it because at the end of that segment they came out and attacked Roman Reigns, and then he and Styles have words backstage, and he's like, they attacked my cousins last week, they attacked me this week, and AJ's like, look, I don't need my friends to beat you. I really like that line.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need my friends to take the title from you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it'll be interesting to see how they factor into the finish of this match because you got to figure at this point the way this has been building, they're gonna factor in some way.
They'll probably turn on AJ because he'll probably stop him from like helping in the middle of the match. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows look like heels. They don't look like faces. And AJ, the crowd loves them. You can tell they're turning him into the face. You know, the Pitbull, Georgia Pitbull, little scrappy guy. You know, the crowd could get behind that.
Yeah, there's no point in killing the momentum that the crowd has behind him.
So to even get him over even more, his friends turn on him. Oh, you know, and maybe they'll have Roman Reigns jump in and help them, or maybe try to stop him. Maybe that will give Roman Reigns some type of pop because he's helping out a good guy.
I'm sure that's how they would love for it to play out, where the people are like, oh, he's helping AJ. But the people will be like, screw you, let AJ do it himself or let him die.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably what would happen. I mean, Roman's
That's what I'd be screaming.
and WWE. Roman and WWE are in a tight spot with him being the world champion. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't excited at all with the world title picture going into WrestleMania. At least the first feud for the title coming out of WrestleMania, I'm kind of excited because AJ's in it. And it's something new. I mean, AJ hasn't been with the company long, and he's already in a world title match. That makes it more interesting for me and makes me actually want to see the match.
You know, plus throwing in Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, we might get the Usos showing up and, like, helping out Roman on his side. You know, a lot of things can happen. We can have a wacky finish for this one. It doesn't have to be a clean finish, but we'll see what happens in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I believe, yeah.
So since we're already talking about Payback, we might as well go over the rest of the card that was pretty much announced on Raw.
Yeah, they announced a few more matches on Raw, and Payback, like, on paper, sounds like a really good show.
Payback on paper does sound really good. You hear this?
Yeah.
That's the paper that Payback's on right now. So we are getting Reigns and AJ Styles, like we already said. The next one is Vaudevillains and Enzo and Cass, and whoever wins gets the #1 contender spot for the WWE Tag Team titles, which is awesome. The next one's Charlotte and Natty for the women's title with Ric Flair in Charlotte's corner and good old Bret the Hitman Hart in Natalia's corner. I'm really excited about this match because they both wrestle really well, but the main reason I'm super excited is, come on, Bret Hart's going to be there.
Yeah, well, always, yeah, Bret Hart's like the main reason for anything. But it's cool. They did this when they fought in the finals for the NXT Women's Championship. You know, both those guys in the corner. I expect the same result with Charlotte winning.
Yes.
But I could see them putting together a really good match. The one they had on Raw was kind of cool. That led to this, where it was like, oh, Natty made Charlotte tap, but Flair interfered. So it makes sense that she gets the rematch at Payback. So this should be fun. And it's cool to see Natty around because she was gone for like ever.
I almost forgot how she wrestled. And she's a great wrestler, and it sucked that she wasn't around for so long.
She made Charlotte tap again this week.
In that 8-woman tag match. And the last two matches that were announced this week on Monday Night Raw was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Which, come on, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, they always wrestle really well. Owens has been, like, extra mean. They seem to let him, like, really cut loose when it comes to Sami Zayn. Because even in NXT, when he showed up, he was, like, this super monster, and it was on Sami Zayn. And he's a monster again, and it's with Sami Zayn. So, I mean, granted, we started to see it in NXT, and I don't want them to always, like, fall back on Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking forward to this match.
Dude, I see this as chapter 2 of the Sami Zayn Owens story. Like, NXT was chapter 1. Great way to start a chapter. Your friend's first debut. He wins his match. You win your first world title. At the same night, he comes out to celebrate with you and power bombs you.
Oh, man, it's so good.
Boom, leaves you there. And then the next time you fight him for the NXT title. And he beats you so bad that the ref just stops the match. And what a great shot of him standing over Sami Zayn holding the NXT title. I was like, wow. So from that to now, it's fun. It's going to be interesting. I really can't wait to see Owens and Zayn at Payback. And the last match is Chris Jericho. Like we were saying, he's been very popular. He's going to fight Dean Ambrose. You know, got to fight to see who's going to get the spot.
Yeah, who has the talk show on the WWE. Aside from that, like, goofy element aside, I'm excited to see what Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose can do. I mean, the feud so far has been pretty good, but it hasn't been the greatest thing. There was the opening segment to Raw this week with them, but, you know, they've kind of, like, intermingled Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn into them as well. We ended up getting matches with Kevin Owens against Dean Ambrose and Sami Zayn against Chris Jericho, so, like, they're, like, intermingling that feud almost. So
which I think is interesting. Those were two good matches on this Raw.
Oh, they were really good matches.
Yeah, Jericho Zayn, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was good. And Jericho going over works because you still got to keep him a threat. He can't just be like, oh, the Chris Jericho that takes pins.
Exactly. And I like that he's doing like the running code break, almost like an RKO out of nowhere with, you know, for a finish now, because that's how he pinned Sami Zayn.
And it looks cool. And Sami Zayn can take the losses because, I mean, they keep talking about him as like the underdog. Well, the underdog's got to lose.
Yeah, and Jericho needs to win. Like, if anyone's upset, like, come on, he's Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and it worked this Monday on Raw. I wasn't like upset with Chris Jericho beating Sami Zayn. What I was saying is the fact that, like, because these things have been intermixed, we haven't really had like really good one-on-one Jericho Ambrose Mike time. Like, I really hope the interview segment that they have next week on Raw is really good. I'm looking forward to the two of them just like really tearing into each other. But on paper, like Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, yeah, I want to see this match.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about Jericho's run this time in WWE. It's phenomenal with the AJ Styles, and now we got Sami Zayn, and we had him. Was he in that Fatal 4-Way match also?
Yeah, he's the one that took the pin, I believe.
Yeah, he took the pin for the Fatal 4-Way. Like, he's been in a lot of serious stuff, which I think it's awesome.
Yeah, he's Chris Jericho. He's been around for a while, and then just a lot of the other like names that have been around for a while are injured right now.
Yeah.
So he's like one of those names that have been around for a while. So he's near the top of the card.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't even see it that way. He is the best in the world at what he does, as he says. Do you understand what I'm saying? That pretty much wraps up Monday Night Raw. Nothing really happened on SmackDown to talk about, and NXT is still recuperating from the takeover. It's still like feeling itself out, so we don't really know too much like who Asuka's going to start fighting for the title.
No, we got to see Bayley say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. Like, Bayley's still the heart of a champion.
She is, but I was like, oh, what a such a cliche thing to say.
Oh, yeah, it totally was cliche, but whatever, it's Bayley. I was like, yeah!
Yeah, Bayley. Yeah, Bayley.
Stand up!
Yeah, Bayley stood up, and good for her. But nothing real, besides Bayley talking, nothing else to talk about on NXT. So we're going to take...
we got Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. They're gonna fight Enzo and Cass. There was that cool backstage promo with Jordan and Gable, and Enzo and Cass showed up.
That's right. Thank you for stopping me from going to the commercial break this Wednesday. So tomorrow, by the time this is out and you're listening to this, check NXT. We're gonna get Enzo and Cass versus Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, American Alpha. It's gonna be really cool. I don't think it's for the title.
Yeah, no title on the line. They even kind of like put that out there. They're like, this is just respect. Like, we've fought everybody. We've been around in the Enzo and Cass are like, we've been around in NXT's tag division the longest. We've fought the best, but there's one team we haven't fought. It's you. So it's like a cool like babyface respect thing, which like happens a bunch in NXT. And when it works, when it happens, it works.
I like it's kind of like Ring of Honor-ish without being forced down your throat.
So it should be a really fun match. It should be really fun to see how the crowd reacts, because the crowd will love both these
they're
teams.
both great tag teams. I totally see Enzo and Cass losing because American Alpha needs to look good. They are the NXT champions.
They're the new champions.
And, who knows? Enzo and Cass might be winning the WWE tag titles soon. Who knows? How you doing? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's this week on NXT, and that's actually something that's been kind of cool coming out of the last takeover.
Good one. So with that little bit of awesome news out of the way, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to be talking about some of our overtly emotional moments of wrestling. If you are wondering what that means, well, you're going to have to wait till after the break to find out.
You can catch Natal on 3 separate podcasts. Yes, 3. You can catch him on Fight Your Rival with Michael Andronico, Podcast Championship Wrestling with the other half of The Men of 2000 Holds, Steve, and So Says Natal podcast. You can find all 3 podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. And you can follow him on Twitter at SoSaysNatal1, on Instagram at SoSaysNatal, and on Facebook, facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. You can support any of the podcasts by sending your comments, questions, and suggestions to sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe across all platforms. You have just been educated.
Welcome back to episode 38 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by your podcast tag team champions of the world, the Men of 2000 Holds, Natal and Steve.
Yeah.
Yup. So the wait is over, people. You could start breathing again. You are going to find out by what we mean of the overtly emotional moments of wrestling. We didn't want to use OMG or our happiest or saddest or meanest. It's just our overtly emotional moments. Yeah. Things that got us going crazy. Whether we loved it, whether we hated it, whether we cried, whether we threw up. It doesn't matter.
I don't know if I want to talk about the one that made me throw up.
Yeah, I'll save that for a special episode. But Steve, why don't you start this one off and share one of your overtly emotional moments of wrestling with us?
Just in overall pro wrestling? All right, so, I don't know if anybody really listens because we're kind of subtle about it, but I'm just going to put it out on the table. We're Bret Hart fans.
Yeah, we like Bret Hart. I don't think we mentioned him too much.
Yeah, I don't think we do. But when he came back on Raw in 2010, that was like a big, wow kind of moment, because I never thought I'd see him on WWE TV again. There was, the Montreal stuff, and eventually he started talking with Vince, and we got the cool like DVD and stuff like that. And I figured that's kind of like where it would end. I never thought I'd see Brett on TV again. I don't even remember how I found out. Maybe I heard it at work or something like that, but Brett was going to be on Raw, and I was like, I have to watch this. And I saw it, and it was the cool moment with him and Shawn. And then, of course, him and Vince have their nice moment, and Vince kicks him in the nards.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're like, oh my God, Brett's actually going to do some sort of something here. So I actually started watching wrestling again for the first time in, like, I don't know, like 8 years or something like that.
Sounds about right.
When it was like that big fallout I'd had from it. So not only was it like, oh man, because Bret Hart showed up, but this is kind of what got me back into wrestling.
Did you think that apology was sincere from Shawn Michaels and everything in the middle of the ring?
Yeah, I think I did.
He always seems sneaky, like he's always covering up.
He seems like super sneaky when you like ask him like a question.
He talks like a politician.
Yeah, he's always dancing around.
He folds his words up really small.
Yeah,
so it's ridiculous.
He talks like he wrestles. You see when like Shawn runs around the ring and stuff like that. That's exactly how he talks. Whether it was sincere or not, it was a really cool moment to see, because at least if Shawn wasn't sincere, Bret seemed it.
Yeah, it was. I didn't see that live. I saw it afterwards. But I mean, obviously, I love Bret. Even though I heard Bret was coming back, I was like, cool, but I still wasn't.
Oh yeah, I was like freaking out. My girlfriend at the time, I'm like, look at him, he's got a jacket. It's not like the same kind, but it's still a Bret Hart jacket. It was a really cool moment, and it was like the first Raw in January or something like that of 2010.
One of my
check it out.
I got the. It's probably on the.
It is on the network.
Yeah, we'll watch it after we finish recording this. Bret Hart forever. So my next one is not Bret Hart, but it is overtly emotional. It was back in the day during high school time when Monday Night Raw and WCW Monday Nitro were on at the same time, and we used to stay on the phone and tell each other what was happening on the opposite show, so we wouldn't miss anything just in case we had to flip channels.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait for Nitro because it was the Nitro after Bash at the Beach 96, and I needed to know who was the third partner for NWO, and you called me and told me that the third partner was Hulk Hogan, and I lost my mind. Not in a happy way, because I love Hulk Hogan. I despise that human being. I can't stand him. Except when he was Hollywood Hogan. It was cool. So
it was that turn.
It was that turn. And when I was like, no way. There is no way. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, I'm a real American is bad. No way he's a bad dude. And it's one of those videos that's awesome because you see the emotion in the crowd with all the crap they're throwing in the ring.
And you see kids crying.
Yes. It's one of those, not only did I feel it, but the wrestling world felt that. And when you called me, I was like, wow, now I really can't wait for Monday Nitro. I got to see what happened.
Yeah, I got to see the guy that I've hated for forever. I got to see what he's like now.
Mm-hmm. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, that moment totally blew my mind too, because like you, I hated Hogan growing up. The turn, just the Hollywood Hogan, like, what?
Yeah.
He's a bad guy now? I gotta see this. And yeah, for like a couple months, like I liked Hogan a little bit, and then even then it was just like, all right, so this one trick pony's getting tiresome.
Yeah, it goes back to being Hogan never losing or dominating. It's just Hogan in a different color, that's all.
Yeah, but now it's like Hogan and then like 17 people helping him win. So it got really, really annoying. But at the beginning, it was such a big deal, and it came out of nowhere because they built it up really well. Who's this guy going to be? And Hogan is never the person that you would have expected.
And he turns on Macho Man. You think he's going to walk in the ring to save Macho Man, and nope.
No, that leg drop and boom.
Over.
Let's see, another moment that was almost like the Hogan turn, in that it was just like, oh, this will never happen, was when Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker.
Oh my God,
at WrestleMania, the streak. Oh, I never thought that would have happened, and that was... I remember there was a bunch of people over at my house watching WrestleMania, and, we're watching it and we're calling it, and we're counting along, and we expect, 1, 2, 2, oh, and we actually count the 3, and it's just like, wait, what, 3?
Yeah.
Oh my God! And just this crazy, almost emotion, because you're invested, like you've been watching this for so long, and how's Undertaker going to come back? And he didn't.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing. It was awesome because that was when I was watching it with Irena, and she hasn't watched WrestleMania or any WWE in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, Undertaker's going to fight Brock Lesnar. She's like, well, there's one thing I could guarantee is that I'm going to see Taker win at Mania. And she sat there and watched it. She's like, I don't want to watch wrestling ever again. I was like, what? She was like, he lost? He lost? Like, it is one of the most craziest things I think WWE ever pulled out of their hat. Do you think that they needed to do that? Do you think it was worth it in hindsight now?
I mean, look at the way Brock Lesnar still is right now. Granted, he's a part-time player, but the way that part-time player is portrayed, I feel like it did help him out. And I love it just because of the emotion it elicited from me. It's one of those like real genuine moments in wrestling where you're like, what? I never would have seen that coming. So because of that, I don't hate it so much.
I have to agree with you. If Undertaker had an undefeated streak, let's say he ended with 25-0.
Yeah, like it's awesome.
That's amazing. But I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But there's no emotion of basically something you always know it's gonna happen. 21 in a row, it's 22nd year, it's gonna happen, and it doesn't. That is gonna be a lot more memorable than the fact that he went 25 straight.
Yeah,
so that one that just chopped it in, that one niche, in that perfect row is what's gonna stand out the most. And you're right, Brock Lesnar's still a beast. He's still a conqueror. I mean, granted, Paul Heyman builds him up too.
Yeah, and he would still build him up like that anyway.
But still, I think looking back on it in hindsight, I think it was the best thing. And I still agree with the decision. I think it was worth it.
I think the only bad thing about it is, since this is the second WrestleMania since the streak, when he shows up for whoever he was going to fight, it doesn't feel as exciting. Like, well, also the Bray one was just one-sided. Taker never cut any promos or anything. Nope. He didn't show up until WrestleMania. So it's hard to get super excited.
Well, Undertaker's lightning bolt set his chair on fire in the ring.
Okay.
He sent the lightning bolt.
Well, obviously you love that because you remembered it.
Yeah.
And then this one with Shane, it wasn't all that great. You were just kind of like...
They were too tired. They were just two tired old men just setting up spots.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even talking about the match. I just meant like the build going into it. Like the build going into Lesnar, it was still exciting. It's like, yeah, the streak. I mean, the streak was very much an exciting thing. Yeah. And now that it's gone, a little bit of that excitement is left. But I don't hate the fact that the streak's over. But that moment is definitely one of those that just absolutely blew me away. And a room of like 7 drunk people just become completely silent because they can't even believe it. Even like the casual ones, are like they know the Undertaker and like, what, the Undertaker lost? Thought it was a cool moment.
It was mind blowing. So to continue on mind blowing, overtly emotional moments, the next one I have is Hulk Hogan again. I know I don't like the guy, but this is one of the reasons.
Look at this.
No, but this is one of the reasons why I don't like him.
So this is a bad one.
Yes, this is a bad one. This is one of those that when I was younger, I was like, why does this have to happen to me? Why do I have to witness this with my eyes? It's very upsetting. It pisses me off. And that was the ending to WrestleMania 9, where Bret Hart loses the WWE World Heavyweight title to Yokozuna. Hulk Hogan comes out of nowhere with his busted-looking Gambit eye, like his all weird eye looked like Gambit. You know what I'm talking about. That's why you're laughing. Shows up with his Gambit eye, and he's like, "Mon ami, fight me for the title." And obviously, they say, "Yeah."
Yeah, Bret Hart just like points.
Yeah, he goes to Bret. He's like, "You okay?" And Bret Hart's like, "My eyes, yeah, go fight him for me. Avenge my honor." And Yokozuna agrees to the match. And guess what? One big boot and a leg drop, and Hogan walks out with the world title, and then vanishes for like 6-8 months. He just disappears with the damn title.
Yeah, that was awful. And then, of course, coming off Bret's title run, it's already like, it sucks because he lost to Yokozuna. But then the guy that beat Bret doesn't even really get to be champ. We're back to Hogan again? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
That was the original Sheamus 515, like Roman Reigns winning it and then Sheamus coming in. This is pretty much what happened.
Yeah, and like part of the thing growing up, 1992 watching wrestling was fun because like Hogan wasn't champ. Flair was champ, and then Savage was champ, and then Flair was champ, and then Bret was champ. So it's like, it was the first year, for the most part, aside from some small hiccups here and there, where like Hogan really wasn't the champ. And then it's back to Hogan being the champ again. It just really vanished. Pissed us off. Yeah.
It was so upsetting. It's one of those things where I was like, this guy is spoiled. Like, that is the true definition of being a spoiled brat. Like, I was like, this man is spoiled. He just showed up with his Gambit eye and beat Yokozuna after Bret Hart set him up for him. I was like, this is unbelievable. It's one of those moments where wrestling's still real to me, damn it, to that sense. But that was one of those, like, scripted moments where I was just like, this just shows like how bad wrestling can be.
Yeah. Because oh man, it's just hard to formulate it into words. Because thinking about it right now,
It angers
like
you.
really thinking about it, yeah, it does anger me. Because also, like, I remember the way I felt at the time, and it was, Brett was my guy. I was so happy he was the champ, but the whole time I couldn't believe it, and I was just like, he can lose it like any time because of the way they portrayed Brett, and now he's fighting Yokozuna, so. My champ's in big danger, and then he actually loses the title, and then he doesn't even get to fight for it again. Just Hogan comes, no talking about matches or anything like that, just out of nowhere. And this was back when, like, they used to book things, and we had President Jack Tunney show up, so this just completely went against all of that, and right now thinking about it, it is angering me, but it was one of those moments that just blew me away for the wrong reasons. All right, so since that was just so awful, that angry. Hogan moment, we got to take it to a moment that I know. Again, it was almost as out of left field as the end of the streak, and that was Chris Jericho becoming the first WWE Undisputed Champion.
I did not think that was going to happen.
I did not. I mean, that night it was him against the Rock, and then Steve Austin against Kurt Angle. So you hear those names, and you're like. Yeah, Jericho's losing in, whatever the first match is.
Yeah, it's going to be Rock Stone Cold at the end. I thought immediately. I was like, oh, it'll be Rock Stone Cold.
And no, we had Jericho Stone Cold at the end, and it was crazy. And I mean, the match wasn't that great or anything like that, but I always like the interference from Booker T, costing Stone Cold. And then we get to see Jericho holding both those titles at the end of the night. And something he gets to claim forever. The first Undisputed. He unified the WWE and the WCW titles. Like, you never would have figured somebody like Chris Jericho would have been the one to do that.
I mean, it makes sense. He worked for both factions. He worked for WCW and WWE. But yeah, it was one of those nights I was like, yeah.
That was the thing, like, which scared me because I was like, well, Stone Cold did also.
True. Very true. But that night I was like, yeah, he ain't going to win. I want him to win.
Oh, of course.
But I was like, but it's not going to happen. And then when he beat The Rock, I was like, all right, then he'll just lose to Stone Cold. And then I was like, what? No way. And it's great because, like we said it in the first half of this podcast, we love Chris Jericho. He is one of our favorites. He's the best in the world at what he does. And not only that, but we said last week's podcast that he's a 9-time Intercontinental Champion, but he didn't hold it for all that many days. So it's a cool thing to say, but saying you're the first ever WWE Undisputed Champion, I think is a lot better than 9-time IC Champ.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how many times he held it, he's the first. Something that no one can ever do. I remember the only thing was at the end, I wish the celebration was better. He looked like he must have, like, legit hurt himself. Because I would have liked more, like, brash, like, boastful kind of celebrating. So it's always kind of weird because Jericho's, like, off in the background, like, holding his back, and Vince is just laughing like a madman because he's Vince. But yeah, that moment just, like, blew me away, and I remember being super pumped and excited because, I was a huge Chris Jericho fan, especially back then.
Oh, especially. And if we're going down the super pumped train right now, I'm going to have to throw in one of mine, and it was one of the recent ones, and you were here to witness it. You saw this one live with your own eyes, and that was when Kevin Owens showed up on Monday Night Raw for the first time.
Oh, man, I remember that. You lost your mind.
I lost it. That at the time, I was like, it's going to be someone from NXT, and you were like, you think so? I was like, yeah, it's going to be someone. It's probably going to be like Finn Balor or something like that, because at the time, Kevin Owens was the NXT champion. I was like, there's no way he'll show up.
Yeah, like, he's the NXT champion.
Why would he show up?
Things.
And he hit that music, and I couldn't believe it. I was so excited for him. I think I was more excited than his son in that video. I was pumped.
Your eyes, like, widened. Yeah. Like, they got super wide.
I couldn't believe it, dude. I'm still smiling right now when I'm thinking about it. Like, it was a moment. I was like, yes, he's here. He's only been around for, like, 8 weeks, but like, he finally made it to the big leagues, you know? It was hilarious. It was great. And he won his first match against Cena. Clean.
Yeah, that was a really good match, too.
It was a good match. I hate you, Cena. But yeah, Kevin Owens showing up on Monday Night Raw and talking the talk with Cena saying, I don't need your title. I got my own. Like, it's cool. That's cute. You're the U.S. champion, but I'm the NXT champion, you know, and powerbomb John Cena and taking his U.S. title and throwing it on the ground and holding his up. Like, get your little crappy title away from me.
Oh, man, it was an incredible debut, and we thought, like, that was going to be the stage for greatness. And it's awesome because it's like you said, it's one of the more recent ones, but it's one of those things where as an adult, wrestling made you feel like a kid. You got like super pumped and excited for it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, right now matches and the possibility of certain match-ups in the future get me pumped and excited, but moments like that's probably that recent one
because that's a surprise that you were not expecting.
I'm a man in my 30s, and I lost my mind when Kevin Owens came out on Monday Night Raw, and I'm not ashamed of it. I am not ashamed.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed. It was awesome. I mean, I was pretty excited when I saw it the night before. That's why I was really pumped to watch it with you the next day, because I was like, oh, this dude's going to lose his mind.
Yeah.
And you did. Another moment that made me lose my mind. It's funny, all these moments, it's not like a whole lot of like matches or stuff like that. I guess that's a different category.
Yeah,
right?
like matches is a different. Yeah, I want to think of like overtly emotional moments.
Well, one for me was CM Punk's pipe bomb.
Yeah, I didn't see that live when it happened, but watching it back, I could see how effective it could have been at the current time in the WWE.
Oh yeah, I was watching that live, and at the time, my girlfriend at the time always used to really buy into everything, and I was always just like, it's fine, you know, they're fine. Anything that makes it on TV, it's supposed to be there. Like, this is what it is. And I remember she was asleep that night, and I was glad she was asleep because she didn't see me completely buy into this. I was like, I don't know if this is real or how real this is. Like, I just completely bought in, and I lost myself in that moment. And the stuff he was saying was...
They cut off the mic. That's what ended it for me. I was like, yeah, I think this is real.
That was what really put it over, was that mic cut. Exactly. And there's a lot of cool moments, you know, he shouts out Colt Cabana and stuff like that.
Ring of Honor.
I like the fact that he had the Stone Cold shirt on for the interview. It's just like, you know, he was the rebel back then, kind of saying that he is now. But yeah, I just completely bought into it. And it went on to be a great build going into Money in the Bank. Jump-started Punk's career. But yeah, that was a moment that I was just like, oh my God. And it really left an impression on me. It's a shame you didn't get to see that.
Yeah, I mean, all I could say, it was a great promo. I saw it and I loved it, but I don't really have any emotions I could pour into that one as well. But emotions I can pour into is the ending to WrestleMania 20, an ending that doesn't exist in the world of WWE anymore, well, the universe of the WWE. And that is Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit celebrating both of their world title wins at WrestleMania 20, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the time, you know, in 2004, where obviously things hadn't happened yet. Looking at it from that perspective, yeah, it was surreal. It was crazy because I was a huge Chris Benoit fan, and, you know, you never got to see him win the title in WCW. He'd gone for it a couple times in WWE, but never got it. And he finally wins in what is actually like my favorite WrestleMania match of all time.
The triple threat.
Yeah, I think that match is absolutely fantastic. And then to see him stand there with Eddie Guerrero, who was another guy that I've been a big fan of, and they've obviously played up the friendship. So it's that moment of seeing like these two friends, they've achieved, you know, their goals, which is to be like, you know, the highest spot,
the best
you know.
You could get.
Yeah, it was crazy at the time to watch.
The confetti, everything. So much confetti, blinding amounts of confetti, like Daniel Bryan amounts of confetti.
Yeah, well, number 20, the big anniversary, you got to kind of do it. I still watch the match and enjoy it now, but I don't really watch the celebration anymore. But yeah, again, looking at it from like back then, from that perspective, it was a crazy moment that totally elicited a lot of emotions for me. And I saw that one, I mean, not at the Garden, but like live when it ran. So like, I absolutely lost my mind.
I saw it recently, you know, to jog my memory, and that's why I was bringing it back, because it did bring back fond memories. I was like, wow, this is, what a moment for them. And knowing their history, like you said, we've been watching them since WCW, even some of their ECW stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, we've been following them. I've seen Eddie Guerrero look normal and then get crazy big, you know, and I've always seen Chris Benoit trying to win some type of title, but never getting there.
Yeah, always holding that mid-card one.
Yeah, but doing a good job. You know, I've seen so many TV title matches of him on WCW, and he ends up losing them, and I'm like, oh, come on, what's going on? Win the TV title for once when I'm watching it. But yeah, seeing them both win the big dogs, the big stuff, and yeah, the celebration's great. I mean, it sucks with everything that happened, but you know what? If Zack Ryder could have his WrestleMania moment, then this one can't be taken away from me either. That's all I have to say. So yeah, WrestleMania 20 was a really, really nice moment for me.
Well, going from a really nice moment, we're going to go back to like a really not nice moment at all. It was the barbershop window. Shawn Michaels destroying the Rockers and super kicking Marty Jannetty and then throwing him through that window.
First of all, the problem was they were on the barbershop and Brutus the Barber. That's the first part. That's wrong with it.
That was probably what set Sean off.
Yeah.
Just having to stand next to Beefcake for so long.
Yeah, he was like, his thighs are infuriating me. I can't be around this man anymore. Let me end my tag team career right now.
But oh man, I loved the Rockers so much growing up. They were so exciting to watch as a tag team. You look back on it now, it's like there's nothing but like stupid one-liners and woo. Yeah. But like whatever, when they wrestled, they were really exciting to watch. So I was really bummed out. I mean, we get that fantastic call with Bobby Heenan, where he's like, you see, one's no good without the other, and Sean kicks him. He was like, oh, I knew he was gonna do that. Just Bobby Heenan's so good, so quick. So it's like it's one of my favorite just like announcing calls in wrestling. But yeah, that moment I remember being really sad the rest of the weekend because like this was on Superstar, so this is like Saturday at noon. So from Saturday at noon, it's just like everything sucks. Like I want to go to school. Like that's how bad. That's how bummed out I was. Like I wanted to go to school.
You were gonna punish yourself. The destruction of the Rockers. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was a jaw dropping moment also because I liked the Rockers too. I really enjoyed the tag team division growing up, and that was a time when segment shows like that were very important, and there were tons of them. So for something like that to happen on the barbershop, I couldn't believe it. And I was young. I bought into it. I was like, he really put him through that window. I don't know if it was pre-cut or not, but he went through that window. And Jannetty was gone for a while. And it even got me excited. Not as pumped, but it was cool when Jannetty came back and like started feuding with Sean. I was like, oh, he's back. He's all cool.
He was gone for forever.
Forever. And nothing happened when he came back.
No. But also I remember one of the things when he went through the window was like, you didn't always have a lot of blood back then in the WWE. And he was holding his head and like he was, bleeding. So it's like, oh my God, he really threw him through that window. Yeah, it just absolutely blew my mind as a kid.
So it seems like most of the overtly emotional moments of wrestling that I could think of on the fly for this podcast are all Hulk Hogan related. Because the next one's Hulk Hogan also, and that's him losing the title to The Undertaker at Survivor Series 91. A year after The Undertaker made his appearance on Survivor Series 90, a year later he wins the WWE World Heavyweight title from Hulk Hogan. That I did not see that coming. And then obviously he lost it Tuesday in Texas back to Hogan, but still him winning it, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, and that was, I remember at the time, Undertaker was paired with Jake. Like, they were really starting to make Undertaker, like, a big deal.
Yes.
So he was really hot going into Survivor Series. And yeah, of course, not liking Hogan. He could have been fighting by Barry Horowitz, and I would have wanted Horowitz to win the title. But I was really excited for Undertaker just because he was so dark and different. And, like, well, what would this guy be like as champ?
Yeah.
So I was excited to see that. We found out that the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get to hold it very long.
Yeah, keep wondering.
Yeah, we'll get back to you in about like 6 years. Well, no, not 6 years, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I was blown away because I didn't think Hogan would lose it. It's Hulk Hogan. It's stupid Hulk Hogan. So anytime he loses the title, that... you get that shocking, oh man, and then because we don't like it, that super exciting moment. So of course, we don't remember Undertaker's first title win in the company because it's, Undertaker won the title. It's Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan for the title.
Hogan. That's why it's memorable for me. He took it from him.
Yeah.
At a time, like we said before, Hogan would never lose that title.
No. The only person that really taken it from him was Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Because, it was a screw job with Andre and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, even here they gummed it up, but Undertaker took it from him. He got the 3 count.
And we got to remember, this is old school Undertaker. This is slow moving, constant chokeholds, not much ring stuff except, walking on the top rope and
the tombstone.
And that's about it. This is like, we bring a body bag to the ring and put you in a body bag at the end of the match, Undertaker.
He just punched you and choked you the whole
that's
match.
all he did. So it wasn't like his moveset was awe-inspiring and blew my mind because, that moveset kind of sounds like Hogan's, you know? But, the Undertaker we see now, well, not now, but at his prime is completely different than what we got originally. So especially since that character was still so fresh, so stiff, so slow, and for him to beat Hogan was really something I did not see coming. At all. It was a mind-blowing moment. It was an overtly emotional moment in wrestling.
Were you screaming that around the house when it happened?
In 91, I was 11. I thought I was screaming overtly emotional moment of wrestling. I probably was just like, take that, Hogan. You smell like pee-pee papa poo-poo head. That's probably what I was saying at the time. Who knows?
That sounds like something you would say now.
Yeah, I would say that now in 2016. Who knows what I said in 91?
I feel the need to constantly take it down. It's like, all right, so you talk about a happy moment? Well, now I'm going to talk about a bad, sad, angry moment.
Bring it. Bring that BNB.
For me, it was the 2014 Royal Rumble. This was when like Daniel Bryan was really hot, and you figure, oh, this guy's gonna win the Royal Rumble, go to WrestleMania 30, fight for the title. So the whole Rumble goes by, and Daniel Bryan doesn't show up. It's the countdown for number 30, and I mean the crowd's already chanting yes. And then Rey Mysterio comes out. Like it just showed how like stubborn the company is. They don't even put him in the match. And then the crowd just boos Ray and turns on the rest of the event. I mean, they're booing Ray whenever Ray does anything. And it's not even like Ray did anything. It's just, you're not Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, poor guy. Guilty by association.
Yeah, and I just remember being like, what? Why wouldn't you? What the hell? It was one of those moments where I was just like, I was just angry and perplexed more than anything. It was just like, this is the thing that writes itself. Why are you taking money away from yourselves?
Yeah.
That was kind of how I saw it. So I lost my mind. And it's also, I guess this says a lot about me. It's a somewhat happy moment, too, in that I like watching that crowd turn. Like, it's just really fun to watch. Like, look how happy these people were, and look how much they hate you just like that. And it's not even like they hate Ray. Like, those boos aren't for Ray. They hate the company. They're like, why would you do this? I know you weren't really watching. You got into it like right after that. But oh my god, that moment just absolutely made me crazy.
So the last overtly emotional moment in wrestling that we are going to share with you on this podcast, because there's too many to talk about, way too many.
Yeah, it might be something we will revisit again down the line, because there are a lot of like big emotional moments. I got a list here, but
yeah, we gotta cut it short. But the last one is one that the men of 2000 holes could agree on, and that is Ric Flair winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Royal Rumble 92.
Oh yeah,
we've said it so many times in this podcast. It's one of our favorite Royal Rumbles. It is our favorite.
It's our favorite Royal Rumble.
It's our favorite Royal Rumble of all time. I can watch that Royal Rumble forever. I kind of want to watch that Royal Rumble right now, talking about it. Great, fantastic. What a way for Ric Flair to come in and win the title. I did not think he was going to win. I wanted him to win. He came in in third place.
Yeah, and at the time, they really would put that over, you know? Like, no one who's drawn numbers 1 through 5 has been there at the end. They always gave you, like, a running time count on Rumble's past. Like when you drew and how long you were in the match were big deals back then. So them constantly putting that over for Flair. I mean, you have Heenan's fantastic over-the-top calls.
It's not fair to Flair.
Not fair to Flair, you know, losing his voice. So, yeah, the fact that he was number 3 was a big deal, and it helped make me lose my mind and make it such a big moment. Because, you know, we're we're 11 at the time, because this is January. So we're like 11. We're still kind of like really buying into it. And Flair's shown up and done a lot of talky at the time, but not a whole lot of things to back it up. You know, won like his Survivor Series match, big deal. Yeah. But this is coming in number 3 in the Rumble.
I remember being upset. I was like, great, now he's not going to win. Yeah. He's not going to win.
Yeah, because he was one of those guys that I wanted to win the Rumble. And then, goes through the Rumble, you know, greatest Royal Rumble, blah, blah, blah. And he eliminates Sid, and it's just like, yes!
Yeah.
I remember, like, absolutely losing my mind. I mean,
thanks to Hogan holding Sid's hand like a child.
Yeah, and I remember, like, my aunt really hated Ric Flair, so it was an extra special moment to me for me, because I got to like rub it in her face, and I was just like legit excited, because there was a small list of people. It was like Flair, Piper, and Jake. Those were the guys that I'd wanted to win the Rumble, and the fact that Flair actually won it, I absolutely lost my mind.
And the promo he cuts at the end, holding the title, good. I still remember his hair looking all crazy, and with a tear in my eye, like that promo, just everything, and Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan behind him with his posse, and I'm like, wow, he's the world champion. He has that winged eagle belt, and it looks so beautiful.
He looks so good. Yeah. It's funny, one of the things that stands out to me from that segment, aside from the actual with the tear in my eye line, is at one point randomly Mean Gene just says to somebody, put that cigarette out.
Yes.
It's just like, what? Yeah, the promo's great, but the thing that really just was that big oh my god moment, or you know, whatever we called it,
overtly emotional moment of wrestling,
was Ric Flair actually dumping Sid over, and it's just like, this guy's wanted, he's the new champ, he's not Hulk Hogan. And, you know, there had always been the question, you know, well, what if Hulk Hogan fought Ric Flair, since they were, you know, the guys in their respective promotions? We never got that in the WWF.
Oh, so so stupid.
This Rumble was basically like the proof, where it was just like, Flair's better.
Mm-hmm.
Flair came in at number 3 and won it. You had the advantage where, like, you wouldn't show up until the first 15 people had showed up, and Hogan came in at, like, number, like, 23 or something like that, and still couldn't win it, and Ric Flair won it. Mm-hmm. Like, it was an awesome moment as, like, a wrestling fan, because as the wrestling fan, I hated Hulk Hogan. That's why I loved Ric Flair, because I was too young to really appreciate the promos and stuff like that, so I still kind of hated Ric Flair. But when Ric Flair wrestled, I loved watching Ric Flair wrestle. So because of that, I loved him over Hogan. And that Rumble moment was just awesome, because it was on Hogan's home turf. This was like, you know, proof Ric Flair was better than Hogan.
Well, one of the main things about Ric Flair that I liked growing up, that I remember, were his robes. His robes, I always loved them. And I loved his mannerisms in the ring. You know, always getting clotheslined over the top rope and then walking and then climbing up, and him falling face forward inside the ring, and the figure 4. Like, those are and the poke in the eyes. Like, those are the things I always remembered about his career growing up. And it made me like him. And yeah, I think I've gained even more respect now that I could look at promos and see him being Slick Rick and saying all the crazy stuff that he used to say.
Oh, yeah.
He was out of this world. But yeah, him winning the title, something I never thought would happen. I knew him from NWA and WCW. I was like, yeah, he'll never win it. He'll never be here. And he did. And I mean, granted, he had more of a lustrous career with the WWE later on in his life, but that time in '92, winning that title,
it was a good way to establish it. Yeah. I mean, he beat 28 other guys, because $1 Million Man got eliminated before he showed up.
Yeah.
So he beat 28 other guys. That was a big way to try to put Ric Flair on, you know, WWE's map at the time.
And that is a great way to end episode 38 of Podcast Championship Wrestling.
I think so too.
Right? I would like to thank you all out there in the podcast world for taking your time and sitting down and listening, or standing, or driving, or eating, or whatever you're doing while you're listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening. And this is Natal saying goodbye for Steve. And remember, we have 2,000 more than you.
The winners of this match, and still PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve!